For architecture drawings, we use many different types of symbols to communicate information on architectural drawings. So today we're going to go over some of the symbols that are listed on the AutoCAD drawing that was provided on the blackboard. So you can see the symbol list on your left, and there are a whole bunch of drawings on your right: plans, sections, elevations, site plan. So the first one is windows. And windows, there are single glazed, and then on the right, there's double glazed. So let's zoom in and look at that. So single glaze simply means that it has one glass pane in it. This is not common in Korea because it's quite cold in the winters and it is quite hot in the summers. So we typically have what is we call double glazed. So two pieces of glass in the window frame. There are even triple glazed that are even more insulating than double glazed. But for this semester, we're just gonna follow the single or double. Um, I've drawn in both because in the precedent study that is drawn in this CAD file, it's single glazed. The project is based on the S House by Sana, and the project is located in Japan. It's a very mild climate, so they only use single glazed windows. Now, when you have a double glaze, there's two panes of glass, and then there is a definite outside and an inside. So this side of the window will always be towards the exterior, and this side of the window will be towards the interior. If you are in Korea and you have a window on the interior, so from an interior to interior condition, you could, of course, use the single glazed condition. Then there, in the symbols category, are doors. This semester, you have, I would like to say, four different types of doors. So you have exterior doors, which is coming in from the outside to the inside, and these will swing outwards, so towards the exterior, and they're both 1,000 in the radius. So this is a single door, this is a double door, and then interior doors, in general, I made them 800 in radius, and then there's another door, which is a closet door. It could be an electrical closet or for storage or whatever. But because the door usually remains closed, we draw in the closed position, and the phantom line, as you can see here, is in the open position. Now, you see this tiny little def points cross there. All these single swing doors are usually 150 to about 200 away from the nearest wall. That helps you locate the doors. Then the next one is top of slab or the elevation marker. So this marker indicates when we say elevation here, we don't mean elevation drawing. Elevation also has the meaning of height. So it's the top or the height of the slab. Slab is usually a floor of some kind of concrete. So we say top of the slab. It is a height indicator. So it's usually on an elevation or a section, and it's indicating the top of that floor and which floor is indicated as such. The next symbol is the column line. So the column line is used for the XY grid on your drawings. It indicates the structure of your building, the basic structure. Not every single wall is structural, so it's only indicating that. It is marked by the column direction as well as the number. So usually it says X or Y, then there's a number that precedes it. If you have curved grid lines, then it will be different. But for Cartesian coordinates, it's X, Y, and there's a number. Sometimes you'll have 1.2 column line or 1.3, depending on how complicated the project is. So then there are elevation direction and section cut direction symbols. These show how or where the elevations are taken, and they tell you what the drawing and what the sheet number is. So you can look for the other drawings in the booklet that you have. Same with the section. The section and the elevation are different in that the section has this stem and a tail to show that it's a cut. So they come in a pair. So you have to rotate these two symbols accordingly, depending on north, south, east, west, and where the section is cut. The next symbol is the up and down arrow for the stairs. So your stairs, as indicated in plan, they need to be described as going up or down because you can't tell in plan which direction the stair is running. So if the stairs are going down, perhaps on the second floor, then you're going to switch this symbol to say down. Then the next one is a spot elevation. And the spot elevation is usually used on the exterior on uneven terrain. Okay, so we'll see that in a bit. And then there's a note. So any kind of note that you want to write, perhaps canopy above, or you want to write a peculiar detail that's listed. There might be unclear information on the plan that you want to further explain, and that will be written as a note. Then you want to have, there is very specific notes such as open to below. You can also indicate open to book above if you want. It's a very prominent void above your head. You would just change this text. And then lastly, it's the north symbol. So the north symbol, you have to rotate according to where north is. So let's go through the plans to look at how these symbols are used. So if we look at the very first plan, which is actually the site plan, you can see that on this site plan, it has the north symbol rotated accordingly to where north is. And it shows that there are spot elevations. So let's zoom in there. So in this particular window, we see 3 spot elevations, 25.2, 25, and 25.2 again. So the spot elevation means that every point probably on this site plan has a different height, a different elevation. We use the word elevation here as well. And because of that, it's a spot, only in this spot. It's not continuous. So wherever that target is, as my mouse is aligned to it, that is exactly 25.0 meters plus. So above usually the datum of sea level. And then at this location, it is 2.2 meters above here at that exact spot. And this spot is 25.2 as well. So it doesn't mean that this entire area is 25 meters. It just means this one spot. So because this is exterior, it's uneven. So it's called a spot elevation marker. Now, let's move to the first floor. So on the first floor, we don't have any spot elevation markers, but on the exterior of the building, you could indicate spot elevations. You could say this spot is 25.2, this spot is 25.3, 0.4, 0.5, because your site actually slopes downwards towards the west side. So you could provide a series of spot elevations. I haven't in this particular plan, but you could add it. So on this drawing, you see that there are column lines, X on the top and Y on the side. So the Y runs in the horizontal direction, so up and down, and X runs left to right. So I made this in a block. So let's double click to enter the block and look at it. Sure, let's go into the block right now. So I'm opening the block. And as you can see, it's the column line marker. Now, this is X and this is Y. You'll notice that they're always facing up. The text is always in a way such that you can read it. So this block is actually created so you can spin the stem very conveniently. This is called a dynamic block. And we'll cover that in a different lecture, but that's how you can use it. So you simply would write in whatever column you want, and it prompts you if you double click on it. It says C and a number, so the column name and the number, and it says direction and number. So if you wanted to make the Y marker, you would then modify it and type in Y, and then you would have to rotate it as such, and that will give you the Y marker. Okay, so now we have section tags and elevation tags. So you have 4 elevations that you need to draw this semester and 2 sections. One section in the east to west and another section in the north to south. And then, of course, you have 4 elevations, 1, 2, 3, 4, north, south, east, west, accordingly. So you usually write the drawing number and the sheet number here. So I will talk about that in a minute, but this is the pointing at the east side. So east elevation is A202. And to make the other, for example, if I wanted the west elevation marker, I would pull this, and it will rotate to make all the other directions. So same with the section. For the section, you have wherever you've decided to take the section, so you would move this accordingly, wherever you've decided to take the section. And then if you want to take the section looking the other direction, then you would click the arrow and it'll flip it. These are dynamic blocks. Again, we'll talk about in a different lecture. And then to make the other section, you would just pull this and it would rotate. Now, if your section is taken at a strange angle, then you can also rotate it to a odd angle. Note that it comes with a tail. So you have to make sure that the tail is actually clearing the drawing. So because it's a pair, it will allow you to pull the tail naturally to a convenient location. So as I said to you, if we look here, A202 is the east side elevation. So let's close this, and then we can move out of this and look for A202. So east elevation A202. So here it is. It says A202 east elevation. So that is correct. It matches. So why doesn't it say what the drawing number is. So there's only one drawing on this sheet. And because there's only one drawing on this sheet, it doesn't say anything. If there were two drawings on A202, then it would say one A202 and two A202. So for example, let's move to a student's drawing. So in this particular drawing, this is one sheet and there's two sections on this one sheet. So the sheet is A301 and there's one drawing on it and two drawings on it. In that case, you would have a 1 indicated on the top or a 2, and they would correspond to each other. So this section is calling this section, and this section is calling that section right now. Let's go back to the sauna S house here. Note that measurements are only given with the grid lines. So there's no grid lines on the left-hand side, and there are no grid lines on the bottom of the page. So because of that, we consolidate the dimensions. They always follow the grid markers. So you should pick two sides. Typically, the X column markers are always on the top, and then the Y's are always either on the right or on the left. It just depends on where you find it convenient to place them. But that should be true for all of the indicators. So as you can see, as I've placed all the markers on the right here, all the top of slab markers are also on the right. So you need to be consistent in your layouts. So you notice the consistency of these. Moving forward, inside the room, as I said, it's an even floor because we're inside, unless you have some type of particular landscape floor. The entire floor is going to have a finished floor level of 100, right? So that is the situation there. And that's indicated with the room. Then you see a very specific note of canopy above, and the main entrance is indicated here with a note as well as a arrow pointing to it. The other exit could be a private egress, is simply any other sub entrance or egress is just indicated with an arrow. There's nothing written. So only the main is noted as main. This is a parking space indicated here with the navy line weight with the slash through it. And then otherwise, let's move on to looking at the elevation. So elevation, instead of having X and Y, now you're going to have the same indicators of the top, the height of the floor, the top of the slab. So this floor is at plus 8,800 millimeters, which is the roof. And the parapet is just above that, which is 9,100. Then the third floor, and then the second floor. And these are the indicators. This same grid goes to the section, as you can see here. So they share the same grid. Then there's a small symbol. For this particular project, you can simply indicate, you don't necessarily need these if you add the section tags to it. So it's up to you because it's such a small project. So we haven't added the additional section tags into the elevations and the sections. So that concludes the symbols for this first semester course.